Hello, so this video will go over troubleshooting on Bubble, or as I like to call it, bubble shooting. We'll look at the element inspector, step-by-step mode, then common errors with visibility and naming, and then looking at the database. So let's start with the element inspector. How do I reach it? Well, I go on my site, click preview, and then here at the top it says debug mode equals true, and that allows me here at the bottom to see the element inspector, and here I can go on any group I see by clicking inspect and then clicking on group lecture, and I'll see if it's visible or invisible, which is already first useful information, and then I'll see if a certain condition is applied, or is no would be red and is yes would be green. I might also see the content source. I can click this here and actually see whether, for example, the content source is empty, which would explain if something is not showing. Also importantly, here it says this element is visible, no. So that may be another clue as to where I'm going wrong. So for basically everything here, we can use the mouse after clicking inspect, select it, and then we can even see chemistry, and why it says chemistry is the current cell section name. We can click this name, it's chemistry, or we can click the section to actually see its unique ID, which we could use to find something in the database, for instance, by copying it and pasting it in the database. More on that later. Or we can see other things part of the thing chemistry, such as chemistry's list of lectures. We can see it's empty here, which may also help us. For example, if we add a new lecture, it says first lecture, or we can also have a new one called physical chemistry. We can click save, and then when we use the element inspector again on chemistry and click chemistry, in the list of lectures we will see title first lecture and here title physical chemistry. So the element inspector is a great way of digging deeper into the data. Step-by-step mode is another way we can use here in the same kind of footer. If we click step-by-step before starting a workflow, we can see exactly the steps Bubble takes. So for example, let's create a new section, see if there's anything wrong. We're going to create the section English and click create. And here when the button is clicked, we can see it creates a new section by the name of English. We can even see why it's called English, because we're using the input new section. And then we can see exactly whether, for example, something might be empty here, or here the section may be empty, and this will give us clues as to where an error may be. Every time we can click it, and on the right we can see more information to see if exactly what we wanted to add has been added in the database. Another example, here we may want to click chemistry in the first lecture to see more info on it. Click step by step, and we see it says display data in group lecture, but we can't see group lecture, so we may want to use the element inspector, search for group lecture, and we'll see as before it's invisible. And here we can go over to this group here, group lecture. There may be a few reasons. For example, the element is visible on page load, may have to be clicked. You may forget this, or you may also have forgotten there's some condition here which is required for the element to be visible. So watch out with these two fields, and especially having this on. Furthermore, let's say the data source is called group lectures lecture. Well, this may be a state, which is the bottom one here. You can see this because it has a delete symbol, or this one, which is actually just a type of content lecture. So the state and the type have the same name here, which is quite confusing. So you may want to click I to change the name of the state to state lecture, so it becomes less confusing. It says state lecture now, and it's much easier to see for you. And when we go to the database and click here on app data, this is where, for example, I took a ID earlier and I can paste it and search for it here and see all the lectures which have this ID in them, which are the sub-lectures physical chemistry and first lecture. So you can always take something here from this element inspector, such as this number, and paste it over here in the backend to see more on this data and edit it if you want, or see other entries in it, which is very useful. Hope this video helped you, and for more tips on Bubble, check out TipLister.com, which is linked below. Thank you. Cheers.